Anthony, 4x4 Diesel. Just needed to talk to you about the Italian tune-up. It's time to rev up your engines. But we're going to talk about when to rev up your engine, and on what engine, and how much, and what the precautions are. Okay, so the old Italian tune-up. The deal is, if you run engines slowly too much, including a lot of shorter stop-start trips, you can end up with a couple of things. Carbon deposits in your combustion area, which increases compression and cause problems. And you can also end up with deposits that can cause hot spots. Okay, so you can get some really weird things going on in engines. Now, what I'm going to say first is, yes, this is 4x4 diesel, but we're not going to just talk about diesels. We're going to talk about petrols as well. Are you getting excited about revving up your engine? Anyway, the deal is, the evidence that we've seen on diesels doesn't lead me to believe you need to give it an Italian tune-up. Okay, so we'll explain what that is in a minute. I'm sure a lot of you already know what it is, or you'll pick up and figure it out what I'm talking about. What it is giving the engine a good rev up your engines, as you may have already seen, and we're going to rev it up some more. So on diesels, not so much. We haven't seen any evidence really that where there's been symptoms, where there's been problems caused by them being driven around slowly, because after all, they're not revving engines. You get most of your power and torque, usable power and torque, from low revs. Your most popular range is probably around 2,000 to 3,000 revs to get all the power and torque you need. You shouldn't usually need to rev it more than 3, and they're probably not going to go much more than about 4 anyway, so the difference in airflow through the engine from 3,000 to 4,000 revs isn't going to make a big difference, and it's probably seeing 3,000 revs fairly regularly. It also gets obviously a lot of torque and stuff down lower as well, which is a bonus. Now, petrol engines are a bit different. They are a lot more free revving, and quite often they can be revved up to approximately 6, 7, 8, 9,000 revs or more, depending what engine, and obviously the size of it, the weight, displacement of the pistons and things. There's a lot of factors that come into it. Obviously the bigger it is, sometimes the harder it is to get revs out of and that sort of thing. So the deal is, if you drive these engines around slowly, as I already mentioned, those deposits can cause problems, and we've seen a number of times over the decades where a vehicle's been kept in really good condition and serviced really well, but it's got symptoms, and I can't even really remember what those symptoms are. Why is that? Because we've been working on really mainly diesels now for years, and specialising on these 1KDs and all the Prado, Hilux, Toyota type stuff. So, it may be a bit of a flat spot in acceleration. It could be some pinging and, pre-detonation noises, a bit of carry-on like that. And when you know it's been serviced well, it's been kept clean, it's had a tune-up, as in, spark plugs. Just so you know, what is a tune-up first? A tune-up on most modern vehicles, when I say modern, I'm even talking about from the 90s, they had fuel injection, okay? So I'm not a carby specialist. I've rebuilt some carbies and that sort of thing, but my time is fuel injection, okay? So as first year apprentices, we were taught a lot about fuel injection and told we were fuel injection specialists. We did have the equipment, what was it called, the brand, what was it called? I can't remember what it's called anyway, but we used to rebuild the petrol injectors. We used to strip them down, caps off, O-rings off. They'd go on the machine, flow test them, check the spray patterns and the flows. We used to clean them. They'd go on an ultrasonic cleaner as part of that machine, and then rebuild them, put them together with new O-rings and caps back into the vehicle. The biggest cause of the problems there was, I'll just touch on it, was not being used. So don't leave the vehicles parked, petrol or diesel. This is particularly a problem on dual fuel vehicles, gas, with fuel injectors sitting there not being used. Make sure you run fuel through them every day you drive it every day, run fuel for a few minutes. Pay the price on a little bit of fuel, will save you paying the price on your fuel system later. Better for the engine as well. Now back onto the topic. So we used to do these injectors, and what was the point of telling you that? I don't know. Okay, fuel, injectors, diesel, I've just totally lost it again, see, because I went on to another subject. But what I'm trying to say is, these symptoms, when everything's right, so that's what I was saying, what's a tune-up? So a tune-up on a fuel-injected car, if it's been run regularly, run on quality fuel, premium, you don't have to put 98 and get extra ripped off. You know, you can put 91 every now and then and run 95 every now and then. I'm talking Australian fuel here. You know, the premium fuels are the better option, but it used to be a couple cents a litre difference, and then it was 4, and then it was 6, and we're up to about 12 or 15 cents a litre difference. So it is a big rip-off, considering it's really the same base fuel. It's going to be about the same manufacture cost. It's just they know they've got you because there's all these high compression engines on the market, and they know you've got you, and you've kind of got to buy it. So if you're a bit of a pauper, or you've got an older car, and you know you can get the 91 into it, go for it, whatever. And that's why there's that cheaper fuel. It's for those cars, for those people, or for people that choose to not spend a lot of money on cars. That's fine too. But if you've gone and spent a lot of money on a modern vehicle, yeah, unfortunately you're going to need that premium fuel. So once you've got a fuel system, a vehicle that's looked after, well serviced, what's a tune-up? A tune-up is changing the spark plugs and changing the air filter, essentially. There you go, you've had your tune-up done. That's why you can all do your own tune-ups on petrols. It's got even easier these days. There's not even ignition leads, haven't been around for years, probably for decades. So the old problems with distributors aren't there. You know, caps and rotor buttons that used to wear. You know, points are long gone, of course. They used to wear, the gaps used to change. We used to have to clean, replace, or reset those. That used to be a tune-up. There used to be work to do. There's not work to do now. It's all electronic. Change your air filter, change your spark plugs, make sure you got the right ones. There's a lot of precautions. Don't think you're the expert and you can do everything yourself. I think you should take it to someone that knows what they're doing if you can afford to do so. But if you're quite capable on the tools and you really enjoy doing it yourself, then make sure you don't over tighten them, make sure you don't leave them loose, make sure they haven't been dropped and you don't drop them. Okay, spark plugs and air filter. So if all this has been done, everything's right, and by the way I'm doing the speed limit, so they're speeding. If everything's right and you've got symptoms and you plug in your scan tool and you can't, or you haven't got one of those, so let's just forget that you haven't got a scan tool to look at anything. And we've been doing some information on scan tools, and we'll be doing more of those. But if you know everything's right, your plugs are right, and you've got some symptoms, sometimes it needs the Italian tune-up. So this is how we handle the old Italian tune-up. You don't do it. So we're talking mainly petrol engines, and I'll suggest you probably do it with your diesel every now and then as well, because it's not going to hurt anything. These engines are designed to be revved. If the automatic transmission holds it to X amount of revs when you floor it, it's fine. It isn't going to hurt anything, unless, here's your precautions. Remember your speed limit, okay? That's one thing. Remember your speed limit. Do not do an Italian tune-up. If you're a person that can't drive that well and you get afraid of power and speed, give it to your mechanic to do the Italian tune-up. So can you make sure you give it a good road test at the end? Italian tune-up, wink wink, you know. Get them to take care of it, okay? Someone that can do it safely in the right place. What would I suggest the best place is? Probably on a road like this, but not when you're at speed, because then you're going to be speeding. It's because you've been driving for an amount of time that the engine coolant temperature, the oil and all the materials are at full operating temperature. So that's your next precaution, okay? Make sure everything's warm, otherwise you could damage the engine. Certainly probably not as much as every cold start when you hit the start button, so not really something to worry about, but I prefer you've driven that vehicle at least half an hour so everything's fully warmed up, and the longer the better. You shouldn't probably do it in the hottest temperatures of, 40 degrees, more or less, Do it. If it's summer, do it in the cooler time of the day. If it's winter, do it after you've driven an hour when it's warmed up. Best place for an Italian tune-up is a racetrack. Take it down to Phillip Island. Now, unfortunately, you won't won't be doing that every time because it's $300 or $400 a hit. The on-ramp of a motorway or a freeway. See the road like this, nice and clear, that's what you want. You're coming on the on-ramp, you've been driving for ages, you get the car straight, and I'm giving you the precautions. Don't do it in the wet, because you may not be used to doing this. You may be going around a bend, the road might be wet. You know, your tyres should be great. You should look after them and replace them, but I see in car parks looking at tyres, people don't. Okay, so if you watch this video and you're one of those people, it's time to pull your socks up. Safety matters. The safety of your vehicle, tyres, brakes, the servicing, the lights working, the wipers clearing the screen, the windscreen, everything's important. And get off your damn phones, which I'm sick of people using the phones. Everyone I drive past, phone in their face, texting text messages to people, typing on the phone, holding it between their face and the steering wheel. What have you got between your ears besides rocks? Think about it. Anyway, the Italian tune-up, where are we up to, right? Dry road, get it straight, and absolutely floor it and cane the nuts off it, as you saw in the video. How many times I've got to show you? Something along those lines. Look, once a week is what I'm talking, once a week, so don't start up your car and drive out with a cold engine and drive like a hoon in your residential area on a cold engine and thrash and damage the engine. No. Take it to a place. Don't make a trip for it. Waste of fuel. Think about the environment. Don't waste money on this, okay? When next time you're coming on that freeway on-ramp and the road is dry, you can think of me and floor it. The other positive of it is, it works really well. I just saw smoke coming out of this car in front of us, so it won't be a Toyota. I was just talking to someone on the phone recently about Toyotas and how good they are. It's never the Toyota. So if a Toyota blows smoke, it's got big problems, okay? They're the majority of the cars on the road and they don't blow smoke, okay? I see all these other cars. Nissans always seem to be ones blowing smoke. Sorry guys, I know you could be watching. Look, it's just how it is. Nissans blow smoke easier than Toyotas, mate. Just needs a little bit of a... Look, in front of us we've got an Isuzu. Downhill now, but going up the last hill, there was smoke coming out. People seem to think these Isuzus are awesome. Mate, Holdens, Mercedes, Hyundais, whatever you want. Craptivas, whatever, right? Stick with your Toyotas. They're the best cars. Toyota's going to love this. Toyota, yes, you can use this video. Put a link on your website. Anyway, back to what I was saying. When you come on that on-ramp, think of me and floor it. Alright guys, thanks for watching. You know the deal. If that was helpful, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe, because you don't want to be missing out on the next important videos. We've got heaps more information coming your way. It's not just about Toyotas and diesels. We're going to open it up and have more information on other vehicles in general also. But of course here in the workshop, and people have asked, you know, oh, I didn't realise you actually work on vehicles, you got a workshop. Yeah, we're not just a YouTube channel making stuff up as we go. Been working on motor vehicles for decades, been specialising in Toyotas in particular in the more recent years, and narrowed it down to specialising on 1KDs, particularly in the Prado and the Hilux, and Prado Specialist in the last few years. So that's what we do. That's mainly why that's what we're talking about, but a lot of the information does relate to other vehicles as well. So thanks for watching guys, take it easy, see ya.